Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back. And let's just start at the top with a review of the trauma bond, right? The trauma bond is this seemingly unbreakable, almost magical, mystical tie that gets created in a narcissistic relationship. It's a byproduct of the juxtaposition of the good and the bad, the justifications, the excuses, the self-blame, the hope, the shame, the isolation. After a while, you are fighting for a relationship and you are unsure why. You don't even know why you like the person, but you kind of feel like you can't live without them. I have heard from thousands of people in narcissistic relationships, and I notice a very interesting pattern. Narcissistic relationships can have lots of good moments. A fun birthday dinner, a great long weekend, a little gift they bought you, an afternoon spent fishing, a holiday dinner that turned out to be fun, a super fun game night, a house on a lake, a pet that you both love, moments, events, things. And in a narcissistic relationship, these can be very powerful because they can be the rocket fuel that powers the justifications and excuses. Now you may say, okay, there are good moments, and then there are bad moments. Fights, betrayals, gaslighting, manipulation, invalidation. The bad moments may be things like them gaslighting you at a dinner party in front of all the guests, or cheating on you, or making fun of a small promotion you got at work. But there's another bad thing that happens in narcissistic relationships, and that's the chronic, if you will, bad energy, even on the good days. Because here's the situation. No one ever really feels safe in a narcissistic relationship. You never feel fully in your skin. There's always a bit, or more than a bit, of hypervigilance. In the beginning, for example, of a narcissistic dating relationship, you may feel like you have to be really attentive to your appearance to win them over. It's not even said out loud, it's just an energy. You know you have to get it just right. With a narcissistic parent, even when you are well into adulthood, you may still feel that you have to be able to pull something out about you, some news or something that you've accomplished that will win them over. And then over time, you may just be self-monitoring all the time, making sure that you say the right thing, avoid saying the wrong thing. And during the good moments, over time, you are always waiting for that other shoe to drop. In fact, it may be more meaningful to consider the narcissistic relationship as not being as simple as going back and forth between good moments and bad moments, but rather as a chronically uncomfortable or bad energy. That relationship always has that has these good moments sometimes happen. There is rarely that exhale moment in the narcissistic relationship that you're like, okay, we're good. This is just going to remain good. You always know the next problem is just around the corner. And that contributes to this chronic sense of bad energy that characterizes these relationships. A perceptual error that many people make in relationships is to remain focused on the moments. We had dinner, we went on vacation, we bought a house, we're getting married, we had a kid, we're spending New Year's together. I am visiting them, they bought me a new watch. Moments, sharing snapshots of what happens, right? I think that's probably always been a thing. It's how we're socialized. It's probably how we subdivide life in our head. And social media makes this so much worse because it's set up to incentivize sharing these moments. It's a lot harder to change. It's a lot harder to share energy or feelings or something conceptual on social media. Instead, it's all sunsets and martini glasses and dinner parties and being dressed up. Moments. Now, paying attention to how the relationship flows, like the water down a river, how it feels, how you feel in it, how it feels in your body. I know I keep using the word energy, and I'm not always a fan of woo-woo words like energy, but I can't think of another. Maybe we could call it the climate of the relationship, right? It's not just the one rainstorm, but the overall climate of it. That's the piece we often don't think about. Do I feel safe? Do I feel good? Do I feel seen and heard? Are we in this together? Are we growing together? Are we having conversations with each other rather than playing show and tell, of them telling me about their day and me listening, and them then tuning out when I share about mine, and neither of us ever talking about feelings? Trauma bonding is fostered by these good moments on top of that chronic bad energy or bad climate. The experience of doing something good or fun or having a good event against a backdrop of chronic discomfort. What does that mean, though? Does it mean you have to leave? Not necessarily. But it does mean being aware that, yes, you had a nice moment, but the general climate is unhealthy. Because if you don't recognize this, then that sets you up for self-blame, for wondering what your problem is after you had a nice weekend, or they take you out for a birthday dinner, or buy you that whatever it is that you needed or wanted. I mean, in some ways, if you do stay, and many people stay in narcissistic relationships, thank goodness for those good moments, because then you are at least able to get some moments of pleasure and enjoyment. I think of it as sort of almost like trying to swim in really turbulent water, and then you find like a safe log to hang on to for a minute. Enjoying those nice moments doesn't make you foolish either. In the midst of manipulation and gaslighting, you can say, okay, let me just run with this for a minute, bask in the oasis that it is, and then suit up for what is likely to be more problems. Not everyone has the luxury of leaving, but it is tricky if you buy into the relationship wholesale and say, we had a nice moment, so the relationship is good. You had a nice moment. The energy is bad, so it's not healthy, and it's what I am in now, and it doesn't feel good. But I have to stop blaming myself for this. Now, this can really be pronounced in how we think about childhood. We may say, no, I had a good childhood. My dad took me fishing and my mom read me books, and sometimes we all went to this cabin together. Okay, those are good moments. But if that is happening on top of that river of climate, if you will, of bad energy, as a child, remember that you had to tell yourself these stories and narratives about your life to stay attached and psychologically survive. You can also remain embedded in that distorted, happy family narrative and get burned every time you go back in, and also wonder what that uncomfortable feeling within your body always is. It isn't disloyal to see relationships clearly, to pay attention to how they feel instead of what happened. Most people may shame you. What's your problem? Your dad took you fishing. Your spouse takes you on that birthday trip you take every year. Your family has those fun holiday trips. But those are just the moments. That unhealthy energy, that is what takes the long-term toll on you. And when you feel you need to rationalize, like, well, maybe it's not that bad, I have the good moments, remember, ultimately, it's the energy that's going to harm you. I hope that makes sense, helps you understand the trauma bond, and thanks again.